All righty. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey. This is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter where you've been, doesn't matter where you're going. I'm just so glad that everybody is here. Wow. Susie, hey, just want to let everybody know Susie's first one in to win the Mickey in the Middle Olympics. She's a gold medalist tonight. So hello, Susie. I'm glad that you're there. Hey, and as people come on, just want to let you know that this is going to be a little bit different for me tonight because Restream is the product that I use online and I pay in order to do all of my stuff. They have overhauled their entire site, and I don't know how it works. And every time I try to do something, it's not working out. So we're going to try to get through tonight, and then I'll figure it out during this week, and we're going to have a great time. You'll have to excuse the lumberjack outfit. I was out earlier in the yard, and I was working outside, and then I went to dinner with some folks, and I came back, and then I found out that I had some work to do for the community. And then, well, anyway, it's all good. So tonight, I'm going to be talking about Donald Trump and what's different between 2016 and what is different between 2016 and 2024. And there are some major differences. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'll stop messing with my microphone here in just a second. All right, there we go. So my hands are off the microphone, so I should be good to go now. So let's jump right into this. Oh, hey, Carolyn, how you doing? Logan, hey, Mark, I'm so glad you guys are all here. This is out time. I know it's about time. Here you go. I just want to say one more time, congratulations to Donald Trump. He's going to be the next president of the United States. I think his number is going to be 47. Rumor on the street is that some people would like to see Kamala Harris be the next president, and they are asking Joe Biden to resign so that Kamala Harris can be 47. And then all of the T-shirts that Trump has got put out there with 45 and 47 up there, that all of that would go to heck in a handbasket. Now, I don't know whether Joe Biden's going to resign or whether Kamala Harris is going to accept that if she does, but she's the sitting vice president right now. And that was rumor on the street a couple of days ago. And I think that there's a lot of things that people want to do that are just absolutely crazy. So that's a rumor on the street. So let's not get all carried away with that. It's probably not going to happen. I don't think Joe Biden's going to resign by the end of that. Biden and Trump just had a meeting in the White House, and they were cordial with each other. It didn't look like they were hugging and kissing or anything else like that, but they were cordial to each other, and they seemed like they were nice, which is different because I really thought that President Biden thought President Trump was a Nazi and a Hitler and the worst thing in history. And I don't want to get into all of that. All I want to say is nobody up there, I don't think that anybody up there in our political system right now has these huge, let's be a Nazi indicators. I think everybody's just trying to do the best they can, and they're running their campaigns, and they have their philosophical ideas about the way a country needs to be run. And there's a balance. There is a balance, and there has to be a balance between tyranny, which is complete government run state, and chaos where there are no rules. And that's what the balance is. So the balance is somewhere in the middle. That's why I'm Mickey in the middle. So some people get confused with what Mickey in the middle means. Mickey in the middle does not believe that all ideas are equal. So I come at things for what is best for middle Americans, what is best for the American people. Is it in conjunction and coherent with what is in uh, the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence and where we're going? Somebody asked me the other day, said, so why are you so passionate about this? And here's the reason why. You right out there, whoever's watching this, how many rights do you have? Do you know how many rights you have? You go, well, there's a whole Constitution. All right, your rights are not in the Constitution of the United States of America. I had this conversation with several people over the last few weeks. None of them knew what the right answer was. The right answer is you have 14 rights guaranteed by the amendments to the Constitution. Now, the Constitution was written in 1778, but the amendments to the Constitution were not ratified until 1791. So we had some rules in there. But when they wrote the Constitution of the United States of America, a lot of the people that were in there was like, listen, we're not going to do this unless we have a People's Bill of Rights. And that's where the amendments came from. The first 10, it highlights what those are. Some of those 14 are freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble, freedom to not have people housed. Everybody forgets about the Third Amendment, which not to quarter troops in your house because unless it's specifically authorized during a time of war. Yeah. So anyway, troops just can't come and live with you. Even listen, and don't throw that on all of your relatives in the military that come home for Thanksgiving and Christmas. that's that's the craziest stuff, isn't it? Hey, I'm sorry. The Constitution of the United States says you cannot be quartered in my house without my permission and without a good reason. So if somebody comes home from the military, let them stay at your house. I promise you, it's going to be okay. All right. So anyway, the rest of them are in here in this book. I'm not going to go through all 14 of them, but you have the right to not self-incriminate, right? They don't have the right to go through your stuff, search and seizure. You have the right to trial by your peers and all that stuff. That's in the Constitution of the United States of America. All right. Here's what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about Donald Trump. Now, there's a story that goes with 2016 and Donald Trump. And the story goes something like this. And I have researched this to the nth degree, and I believe this to be true to the best of my knowledge. Back in 2014 and 2015, when Donald Trump was running, he was running against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton said, hey, look here, we need to do some opposition research, op research into Donald Trump. And they were like, hey, let's sniff around the world, all the places that Donald Trump has gone, and we're going to go and we're going to see if we can get a profile on this guy. Well, I don't know whether it came back with anything, but somebody somewhere threw together something called the Steele dossier, and it was crazy stuff. It was about hookers and about money laundering and about international trade and a whole bunch of stuff. But the main thing it was about Donald Trump as an asset or can be bribed by the Russian government so that now he's a political operative of Putin. That happened in 2015. That was developed as opposition research for the run for president in 2016. Now, that was all made up bullshit, but it wasn't real. So what happened is the Clinton campaign come up with this document called the Steele dossier, and then they presented it to people in the government, and they said, hey, Trump is oh man, that's really hot. Trump is a spy for Putin. Then they went, no, he's not. And then somebody in the CIA stepped in and went, oh, yeah, well, let us check on that. So they said, who's working with Donald Trump? They said the first guy is Papadopoulos. Remember that name, Papadopoulos? So Papadopoulos was now, because in 2016, previous to that, he had worked with some Russians, and they were like, hey, look here. Papadopoulos knows some Russians, so we're going to open an investigation into Papadopoulos, and wherever Papadopoulos goes, we can then take a FISA court, which is a Foreign Intelligence Service, whatever, FISA, right? We can get somebody authorized to tap Donald Trump's phone lines in his office, find out what they're doing. And then they shared that information, so the CIA did that. So now they were monitoring Donald Trump's campaign, which is illegal. It's illegal. Because it turns out that Russian collusion was total bullshit. Total bullshit. And it is verified by everybody that it was total bullshit. We know who made it up. We know when it went to the CIA. We know that the Steele dossier, we had the dude that actually made the dossier said, yeah, it's all made up bullshit. It doesn't even matter. So it is true that it was not made. But here's what happened as a result of that. As a result of that, during those investigations, and you need to pay attention to this, during those investigations, they took the legs out from Donald Trump. And I'm going to read you some stuff because this is true. First, they went after Papadopoulos. And what it said, I talked to my little AI buddy right here. What it says about Papadopoulos is, hold on, all right. Former foreign policy advisor to Donald Trump. He was charged with making false statements to the FBI. These charges were related to misleading authorities about timing and significance of his contact with individuals in Russia during the 2016 election. So what happened was he filled out a piece of paper, or he talked to somebody, and then he filled out a piece of paper and he couldn't remember the exact times and dates. So they said, we're going to charge you under lying to federal authorities. And he was like, I didn't do it, but I'm going to plead guilty. So he pleaded guilty to these charges, and he was sentenced to 14 days in prison, 12 months supervised release. Why is this important? Because the Russian collusion didn't happen. Yet they charged this guy. Next up, Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn, who briefly serves as a national security advisor, was charged with making false statements to the FBI. Specifically, he was accused of lying about his communications with the Russian ambassador to the United States during the presidential transition period before Trump took office. They got him. They took him to court. They tried to make him plead guilty. He withdrew it, but they chopped the legs out of Flynn. This is important. I'm going to get to it in just a minute why. Then they went off after long-term advisor Roger Stone, and they charged him with obstructing a congressional investigation, Russian collusion, making false statements to Congress, in an investigation that never happened. It should have never happened because there was nothing, and witness tampering. There are no witnesses because there was no collusion with Russia. Why is this important? Because Donald Trump right now, he just became the 47th president, so he's an incumbent president, inbound to it. On December 6th or 7th, he's supposed to get money from the federal government so that he can put together a transition team. Wait a minute. So, November 6th. So the election was on November 5th. On November 6th, those funds from the Congressional Budget Office become available to Donald Trump to put together a transition so that he can become the next 47th president of the United States in a smooth and easy transfer of power. Why is this important? Because if you take their money, then you have to report everything that you're doing to them. All of your phone calls, all of your contacts, all of the people that you're talking to. If you're going to take money to take airplane trips or to fly people there or there, and you're going to take money to use cell phones, and you're going to take money to send emails or get computers or get offices or negotiate with any of this stuff, if you use the Congressional Budget Office, you got to tell them everything. So what did Donald Trump do? Donald Trump said, hey, look here, I'm a billionaire. I am not going to use the Congressional Budget Office money. I'm going to put together my own transition team. And the first thing he did is he hired a lady named Wild. I think her name is Wild, to be the basically his right-hand person in the White House, chief of staff. So, and he is the first person in history to hire a woman as his chief of staff in the White House. The first one in history. Donald Trump, he hates women. So the first thing he did is hired the best woman that he knew to run the White House. That's pretty significant. But number two, he said, I'm not going to take the Congressional Budget Office money, so I don't have to tell them anything. I don't have to tell them where I'm going, who I'm talking to. I don't have to get any computers from them. I don't have to get airplanes from them. I don't have to do anything from them, because we're talking about millions of dollars in order to do a transition. He's got 4,000 appointments that he has to make. 1,200 of those appointments have to be approved by the Senate. It's called Senate confirmation. And Donald Trump's going through them like wildfire. Donald Trump's going, listen, you chopped the legs out from underneath me on the last election in 2016 when you went after me and you said I was colluding with Russia. And then you went after Papadopoulos. You spied on my campaign. You went after Flynn, who was going to be my national security advisor. And you took my longtime advisor and friend, Roger Stone, out from underneath me when you started charging people. Now, they charged a whole bunch of other people in the Russian collusion thing. As a matter of fact, we had to put up with that bullshit through an entire impeachment for almost 3 years. And you think Donald Trump's going to put up with that again? No, Donald Trump is not going to put it up again. So he's going out, he's doing it his own. So here's what happened in the last couple days. I think that this is great. I think that this is absolutely great. Looks like, these are my other notes from the other day. So hold on just a second. Here's what I wrote. Donald Trump made a mistake last time. He trusted him. He assumed that the people that were in positions of power were good people in the CIA, in the FBI, in the NSA, in the DOJ. His colleagues, the people that were working in the White House, the people that were working on the transition team that were trying to help him. He will not make this mistake this time. He will not make that same mistake this time. So what has he done? He has gone out and he has gotten everybody that has supported him over the last 8 years, and he is lining them up and he is knocking them out. Like today, it was announced that Representative Matt Gaetz is going to be the Attorney General. Here's why that's a significant thing. Here's why it's significant. Here's the deal. Sorry, somebody says I said here. Here's the deal too much. And this is why it's important. But here's why it's important. Matt Gaetz wanted to get to the bottom of Russian collusion, so he asked all the questions. And in all of the hearings and all of the Gaetz stood up and he, disconnected default. I don't know what's going on here. Something just happened, but it's okay. We'll get through it. Matt Gaetz stood up in Congress and said, you're going to have to answer some really tough questions about the Steele dossier. You're going to have to answer tough questions about Papadopoulos, about Flynn, about Roger Stone. Why did you throw him in jail? Why are you doing all this? You're not charging anybody with colluding with the Russians. You're charging them with making false statements, tampering with witnesses, lying to Congress. But there should never have been a Russian collusion case to begin with, because everybody in the CIA, everybody in the FBI knew that it was bullshit. Everybody in the Department of Justice knew it was. But then it got into Congress, and then Congress started going all the way. And that's where Matt Gaetz became the stopgap for Donald Trump, trying to preach the truth that Russian collusion was a made-up mess. So when he goes to Matt Gaetz, they tried to embarrass Matt Gaetz. They have said that he's I'm not going to mention, they have gone after Matt Gaetz on several occasions, accusing him of things that it never happened. And they've tried the lawfare on him, but it did not work because he went, that's BS. I'm not stopping. You want to come after me? I'm taking you down. That's why it's significant that Matt Gaetz is going to be the Attorney General, because he knows all of the black stuff that happened. He knows all of the bad stuff that happened. So they went straight to the source. They were like, dude, you were in Congress. You had access to all the stuff, even the notes, the thousands and thousands of pages of documents, and he went through it all. And I've seen him in action, and that dude does not mess around. But Donald Trump's not going to make the same mistake he made last time, where when he started making appointments, they cut the legs out from underneath all these folks. Representative Tulsi Gabbard is going to be the Director of National Intelligence. Here's why that's significant. She was in the Democratic Party from Hawaii. She got disillusioned when she started disagreeing with what the Democratic Party was doing, and then they went after her and they forced her out of the Democratic Party. So she became an independent, and then she left Congress because they weren't going to give her any money. They weren't going to support her anymore. But she is also very smart. She's currently in the United States Guard. She's in the Guard or Reserve. I don't know. She's still serving in our military. I think that she can be the director of national intelligence, and she is a smart cookie. I'm telling you what. So he named her to be the director of national intelligence because she has a wherewithal about her. She is a very high profile individual. She is well steeped in the way that Congress works and the way the political process works. So she's going to be great on that because she was inside the Democratic Party for a really long time. I'm sure that she knows where all the skeletons are in that party right there. And then Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I think that that's pretty doggone cool. You want to know why? Because he's the son of immigrants. And he started with absolutely nothing. And then his family came to this country and they started from the bottom. And he got smart. He became a lawyer. He ran for Congress. Senator Marco Rubio, is he a senator? I don't know whether he's a senator. He's a senator or a congressman. Senator Marco Rubio. He's a senator. Here's why that's important. That is important because as a senator, he has also been in Congress and he knows how Congress works. He knows about the budget. He knows about the processes. He knows about the procedures, but he also knows about international affairs. He came from a communist country. His family came from a communist country. He lives in Florida. You can't get any more international than that. You know how many people go to It's a Small World After All? It's a small world after all. That's what's significant about Senator Marco Rubio. But Trump is not going to make the same mistake that he made. And he's hiring bulldogs that are pissed off as to what's been going on in the country ever since they attacked Donald Trump. Because you got to remember, Donald Trump not only went through Russian collusion, but then they accused him of doing a bad deal with Ukraine. And that was his second impeachment. During the 4 years that Donald Trump was in there, they said that he tried to do a deal, an illegal deal with the leader of Ukraine, which was bad enough because Zelensky's not a good dude. Zelensky has taken freedom and thrown freedom out of the window in Ukraine. He's like, we're going to have martial law. I'm going to be the only one. We're going to outlaw all parties. The state is going to own the newspapers, the TVs, all of the media. That's what Zelensky did. He got into Ukraine. He started cutting deals because I think he's crooked as hell. That's my opinion. I think that he's crooked as hell and that he started cutting deals. And some of those deals were with Burisma, who Hunter Biden was on their board. And Donald Trump said, hey, I think that these guys are crooked over here. You need to look into that. Then they impeached him for that. That means that not only was he impeached one time, he was impeached 2 times in 4 years. How busy do you think that they were trying to keep Donald Trump from cleaning out the swamp? And that's what the question is. Do they want Donald Trump to clean out the swamp? The answer to that is no. Why? Because there are thousands and thousands of people. I don't know whether you know this. Washington, D.C. is like 90% Democrat. 90%. It is outrageously Democrat. And these people have been in positions for years and years and years. And they're just used to writing more rules and more regulations for you and for me and for everybody else that's out there. That's what they do. They're trying to rule you by fiat. They're trying to rule you by rules. So when they say that we're going to have an EPA and we're going to have a wildlife service and we're going to have a Department of Energy, Department of Education, they try to control you through policies that Congress is not willing to write, and that the departments write these rules and you have to live with them. Like the Department of Education saying, we are going to take away your school lunch money if you don't allow biological males in women's spaces. They did that. They did that. I've seen the memo. When they come down and they go, hey, look here, we're talking about gender neutrality in all of our school systems. That's not coming from your school board. That's not coming from your state. That's coming from the Department of Education. When they say that you have to take a COVID shot and you do not have a choice in the matter, and they make everybody in the military fake that, or they fire them, or the Department of DHS, Department of Health and Human Services. Wait a minute. Who controls the hospitals? I don't even know. FDA, Food and Drug Administration, whoever controls all the hospital money, whoever controls all that, they cut a deal with them. And they said, hey, look here, man, you don't treat people that don't have shots. Don't let people work here that don't have shots. And then the FEMA, or not FEMA, hey, somebody type in here, Mark, you're always good at backing me up. What is the department? OSHA, Occupational Self and Health and Safety, OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Administration, OSHA. They came up and you know what they said? They said, we are starting a process that you can't work unless you get a COVID shot. If you have a business that has more than, I want to say 50 people, because employees are a danger to other employees if they do not get the COVID shot, we are going to shut you down unless you force all of your workers to get the COVID shot. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? I remember it. They shut down churches, but they left open protests. They let criminals go. And right now, Donald Trump is pissed. Donald Trump's not going to put up with it. He says, you got me one time, tricked me once, shame on me. Wait a minute. Get me twice, shame on you. Get me once, shame on you. Get me twice, shame on me. Donald Trump's not playing. That's why he hired Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not going to be part of the administration. Elon Musk is going to be an advisor to the administration. He's going to call up Trump every day and go, hey, open up your books and let me see what's in there, and I'll be more than happy to make cuts. So that's what Elon's going to do. He's going to, Tom Homan down on the border. Tom Homan is the guy that went into Congress and said, the border is a national security issue and you're open up the border. He just wants to get the criminals out. He wants to get all the bad people out. All of the people that came over here, all of the people that have been causing trouble in our country, they need to go back home. You can't separate the children from their families. We're not separating children from their families. We're sending them all back home. Everybody that does not have a legal asylum claim. If you came from Venezuela, if Venezuela's that bad, how come you can still visit Venezuela and it's not on the State Department do not go list? If they're coming from Costa Rica, Argentina, Venezuela, Brazil, Mexico, Cuba, China, all these places that are not on the do not travel list for the State Department, those people are not so stressed that they can't go back home. Donald Trump's going to send everybody back home where they came from. They're going to send them as a little family unit. They're going to go, hey, instead of coming across the border and us giving you a plane ticket to wherever you want to go, we're going to put you on an airplane and we're going to send you back to where you came from. You can go back to your old life. They go, but we don't like our old life. Right. But you just can't live a life here. You came across 5 different countries where you could have stopped, but you only wanted to stop here. And I don't blame them. The United States of America is a great country. It is a great country. But the problem is that we have legal processes and legal ways to come across the border. And seeking asylum from a non-seeking asylum country is bullshit. You got to come through the right way. I want you to come through the right way so that you feel like you're legal, so that you feel like you're actually a part of the country. We are welcoming immigrants. We want everybody to come to the United States of America. But if everybody in the whole world came to the United States of America, we'd have 8 billion people living here. 8 billion people is crazy. But they can't all live here. You don't think everybody in China that's under communist rule wants to come here? Everybody in Cuba, everybody in North Korea, everybody in Afghanistan, everybody from Iraq. If everybody came here, we need to export freedom like in England, in France, in Spain, in Australia, and Taiwan, and the Philippines, and South Korea, and Vietnam's coming around, and a lot of the other countries are coming around because if we do a good enough job with the idea of spreading freedom, then those countries can embrace freedom, and then they can give freedom to their people. But we're the only people with a constitution that was written by a bunch of people that wanted to be free, that wanted to guarantee your rights and my rights. Those countries need to go back. Those people need to go back to their countries and fight for the right to have a constitution that's written like ours so that they can go live their best life where they're from. Let's go to the comments real quick. Carolyn Ledger says, yes, that's right. They only want illegal immigrants so they can control future elections. That might be true. That might be true. I don't know whether it's true or not. A lot of people believe that we should just open up the border and that the world should be free and that there should be no borders anywhere in the world and people can travel freely. Now, we can travel freely between the 50 states here. We can travel without a visa to Canada and into Mexico. I think we used to be able to. I don't know whether you can still do that. I know that you can travel around Europe. If you have proper documentation, you can travel all the way around Europe. You can go from Germany to England to France to Spain to Monaco, all that, Lithuania. You can go all the way around there. But thank you very much. They only want illegal immigrants so they can control future elections. Highly probable. Yeah. And then let's see what else we got. Health and Human Services, new immigration laws. Yeah. I think that Donald Trump is going to take it to him, man. I think he's going to take a flamethrower to that place. And I do not blame him. You want to know why? Because they did him dirty. Now, I'm not endorsing it, but all I'm saying is if you were acting without good reason and with ill intent, you need to be taken out. Our government needs to be shrunk by half, at least half, except for the Department of Defense. We need to make sure that we are strong in the Department of Defense so that that no enemies will feel like they can come and get us. That's all I'm saying. We need to have a strong Department of Defense. But most of the other stuff out there, Department of Commerce, gone. Education, gone. All of the parks can go back to the states. Did you know that like 80% of the land in Nevada is owned by the United States government? Like 80%. That means that 20% of the state of Nevada is run by the people that live there. Isn't that BS? So anyway, but I know we need to have ranges, and I know that we have to have military operating areas. We need to have Area 51 out there so the aliens can come and go as they please. That's kind of it. So anyway, hey, that's going to be the show for tonight. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you tuning in to Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter where you've been. Doesn't matter where you're going. Just matters that you're here with us and that you believe in freedom, you believe in the Constitution, and you want to have the best life possible for Middle Americans. We do this every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central, right here, Mickey in the Middle of the week. So hope to see you next week. We hope you guys have a great week. Love you.